no one will care more than you.
Yep.
And so, that's one of the reasons why it's also extremely important for you, the founder, the main person or people, to become the drivers, because no one's going to care more than you.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Driven. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing the importance of being a driver within a company.
Yes.
And I know before we start discussing it, the word driver is a little bit vague.
Yeah.
So, based on, your experience and your own, perception of the word driver, what does the word driver mean to you?
I think in the context of business, a driver is someone that can move an organization forward. Because I know, maybe there's some businesses that are just, have been the way they are. And there's nothing wrong with it. But just the way they are for, for years.
Yeah.
Just functioning, leaving, being profitable, having employees, same thing, just continuously, I would imagine, maybe some convenience stores or things like that, that business, that entity, is that. But I think, at least for me, a driver is someone that, for example, is able to take an organization or even even if you don't have an organization, if you're just starting, someone that can move it forward. And I know there's a lot of ways to move it forward. Some there's a couple books that show different types. I forgot what book, but how there's some that drive it by just sheer force.
Yep.
Some people that use people in the good way, use people to move the organization forward. And so there's different ways that you could drive an organization. And so, but I feel like it's someone that is able to move an organization or business or something forward to the goal that you want it to. And so that's my definition of a driver. But I also want to know your opinion on that.
When it comes to that, I agree. It's the same thing. It's the driver, the person behind if we're looking at it in the context of a car, the driver, you're in the steering wheel, you're moving the car forward and you guide it to the direction you want it to go. So in the same context as, as driving a car, going back to business, I think it's the same thing. It's, a few people or maybe one or two people just deciding where you want to take the business. And then, once you decide, it's just actually executing on the things that you need to do.
Pretty much being able to move an organization or whatever it is forward. And and one of the things, as you were talking, it might be out of, not context, it might be out of, the thing. But I feel like just looking at things, I don't know if it would be good to have everyone in an organization be a driver, because then I feel like there's going to be a lot of different there's not going to be a lot of agreements in everything. And so I feel like just because of the way that they are, they're just going to at some point kind of what do you call it, an entrepreneur, or I forgot what it was called, but in that book that the type of individuals they're do you remember what it was called? You know what I'm talking about?
Was it Traction? No,
Traction, I forgot. But when someone is an entrepreneur, and no matter where they work, they are always going to be an entrepreneur. But then there's someone who has those qualities but lacks the safety net and lacks the safety of being in an organization, but they can still use the skills and ability of an entrepreneur to be able to drive it forward. And so if everyone's I feel like it would also be very hard for an organization to move forward in a single direction or a single mission. Because
I think with that there's different levels. So the main level is, if you want to grow an organization to a big stage, I agree that there should be one person driving the majority of the things. But then I know there could be drivers within each, let's call it, departments. So I know in our case there's a fulfillment department, or creating the products, or even now creating content, or the actual fulfillment. I know there can be people driving the other people, or driving that department to be better, to be more efficient, to grow in and of itself.
And I guess and what I was kind of that definitely there needs to be in each department. But I guess I was talking about mainly like how you said that you said that there's different kind of drivers. I was talking about more of the
the
driver.
big picture.
Yeah,
big picture.
Yeah, it could be that, but yeah, it kind of in the highest sense, kind of in one of the things that I was also thinking about is kind of like in soccer. I feel like it'd be very hard to have like a lot of people that are soccer players that are drivers in the organization, because I feel like then there could be like just
conflicts.
Conflict splits of ideas and stuff, like just PSG. Like I mean, that's just going into like a lot of things, but that's why like usually when you see soccer teams, there's usually one, like in Real Madrid there was Ronaldo, then it was Benzema when he left, then or Sergio Ramos. In Barcelona, there was Messi, and then same thing with, and one of the reasons why Neymar, I don't know anyone talking about soccer, but the reason why Neymar left to PSG, but I backtrack. So I guess with that, that's one of the things that I was thinking, that that you definitely, like an organization, an entity or something, definitely needs a driver. But at the same time, I think it's just going too deep into it. But I think every organization needs a driver, or a few drivers.
And that's going into the assumption that you want to grow it to a bigger stage. Because if you're just like satisfied with something that's yourself, that you don't want to grow it big, you don't want like too much employees, you just want to maybe even work there. Like if it's a convenience store, like I know you mentioned convenience stores, you just like you like interacting with people, you like the day-to-day, you're making profits, but you're working within the business and it's your business. I think it may not be the case for everyone.
But even then I'm thinking about it, and then and I guess I think still to that, in those cases there still needs to be a driver, and by driver it doesn't mean that make it bigger. I think it's just, for example, let's say that there's an economic downturn, and like it's suffering and something like that. There needs to be someone or some people that actually just push it forward, or like okay, let's bring it back, because I feel like if there's no one there, it's just just there, it's gonna fail. And so I think in that sense, I think people or organizations still need like that, those people.
With that, follow-up question is, what if you're just starting out in your entrepreneur journey, your business, you don't have much experience being a driver, knowing exactly what to do or how to go about it? What would you recommend, or what do you suggest people to do if they themselves are not a driver yet? Because I know like with time and experience, you get to become a driver. You get to be able to see everything, the big picture, and then push forward, drive forward. But I know once, or I know when you're barely starting, it's a little bit difficult to actually like, okay, this is what we need to do, this is how we're gonna do it, and now we're gonna execute it. Because I know it's easier said than done. It's easier said, okay, we need to grow this company, we're gonna do this, but then like starting out, it's a little hard to execute.
And so with that, it kind of goes and ties it back down to what we've always been talking about, and I think what I'm thinking right now, and it's pretty much why you're doing it. Because at the beginning, honestly, when we started, there was no one or nothing that to show us how to be drivers, or to show us how to be really anything. It's really the reason why we were doing it, and it was for my parents. And then it didn't matter what we needed to learn, or what skill, or how we needed to stumble forward. I think just knowing that my parents were behind us, and that we needed to like do something for them, that just pushed us over. And I think so I think at the base, having your reason as to why you do stuff, like be clear, and be something strong enough that it'll make you move forward, or push forward. And so I think that's something that I think you need to have. It could be good, like wanting to retire your parents, but then it could also be back, like I don't know if we were talking in the last episode or another episode, but it doesn't need to be good, the reason why. It could be like people always told you were dumb, or you wouldn't amount to anything in life, using that as kind of like fuel or energy to kind of like prove them wrong. Even if it's like, but with that mentality, I don't think it's the best mentality in the long term, but you can definitely use that to kind of like fuel your you moving forward. And so having your why definitely, I think, is extremely important, because then that'll pretty much, that's your fuel as to why you will continue doing the stuff. And then I think with that, also knowing that,
well, I think I have another question when it comes to that. For the people watching who want to start their business, okay, so the first thing is find your why, and then based on that, you're gonna, and that's the reason. But then when it comes to actionable steps, maybe like practicing, or actually like executing, or how would you suggest, to people go about it?
Yeah, that's just pretty much just start doing whatever it is that like either interest you or your where you work at, something like if that's something maybe you want to get into, kind of like us, pretty much wherever we worked at or we did something similar to that extent. And so I think just going out and doing some, and I know it's very vague, but I think just for one, going out and let's say you want to start a business, okay, go ahead and start out getting business, and then on top of that, in addition to that, also consume a lot of books. Consume books. So there's a lot of ones, like I think the main one and the biggest one that I think has helped not just me or you, but a lot of people, is How to Win Friends and Influence People. Because I think in most businesses that you do, you're going to have to deal with people. And if you know how to deal with them well, I think that's going to be of huge help. And so read a lot of books, like How to Win Friends and Influence People. There's I think psychology books are the main ones. So read, grow, improve yourself, but also learn, go out and do whatever it is that you do. But then with that, also learn that skill, learn to be good. Like if you're going to be a detailer, learn how to be an actual detailer. And so just I guess both go hand in hand, growing yourself and learn, reading books, also a lot of YouTube videos. I think more than anything, the way that we learned and grew was not a lot of it was some books, but more than anything was YouTube videos. And I know, like, it might just seem like, how are you gonna grow with just YouTube videos, but that's pretty much how we learned a lot of the stuff. That's how we came across someone that or a lot of people, the Patrick Bet-Davids, the Hormozis, both Hormozis, because I think both we kind of came for, like, for Hormozi, but we stayed for Layla. Because they both of them are freaking sick. And then and there's a lot of content out there, and especially in your particular niche that let's say a business that you want to do, there's a lot there. So consume a lot of that stuff. And I know it might be easy to just get distracted, especially you're on YouTube, or let's say more than anything YouTube, because you have to search for it. There's a lot of recommendations. There's a lot of other things. I think just keeping focused on what it is that that you're gonna do, and I guess also knowing that your why, because then that'll help you stay focused. But so those are the kind of the things that I recommend. Just go grow yourself through books and YouTube videos, and at the same time, just don't overthink things. I think also a lot of people they pause. They kind of like get they pause because I want to be prepared. Like at first I'm gonna learn how to be a detailer. I'm gonna read all the things that I do. I need to be able to buy all these things. I know a lot of people just they get stuck in that stage, but I think it's more important than anything. I think just going out and doing the thing. And so just pushing yourself to go out, do the thing, and then reading a lot of books and growing yourself. And I think that's at the base what someone can do to start, at least. But in your opinion, what do you think? Like someone your 18-year-old self.
Okay.
Or let's say, because I know maybe every situation is different, but someone who is, has parents. Just say someone similar to you, 18-year-old. What would you recommend that person do? And and then I wanna grow a business, or I wanna have a business, or I wanna make money. What would you say? And then with that, I know we kind of probably like the driver, like, what does it take to be, a driver?
I think with that, the main thing that you're going to need to know is information. And how you mentioned, and I know you mentioned it like here and there, and I know some people say this phrase that you don't know what you don't know. So how are you going to know how to be a driver? How are you going to know how to grow a company? How are you going to know how to lead people if you don't even know how to do it? So like you said, if it comes to like reading books, listening to audiobooks, or watching YouTube videos on, let's just say, how to manage people, there's a lot of videos when it comes to that. Just consume the information, and then one of the main things that you really are going to need to do is actually implement it. Because I know there's a lot of times that we watch videos, we read books, and then we read like 2, 3, 4, 5 books, but then nothing happens. Right. So like you mentioned, I think it's actually just implementing the things, not just reading. And then I think a third thing is when it comes to being a driver, I think it's important to see the big picture. You know how you say, you know how people say that, you work in the business, but then there's another aspect of it, which is working on the business, which is, take yourself out of the business and then, like look with a bird's eye view at your business and see what needs to do. And then, based on that, try to, be as strategic as you can be to like, okay, this thing, if you're like you mentioned a detailer, maybe I could start getting clients by going on Yelp. Maybe I could do this by doing this. Okay, now once I have a consistent clientele, maybe I could do social media to just at the same time get exposure for my business. So like it's just seeing the different things that we need to see, like just get yourself out of the business and then seeing the big picture. I think that's one thing that will help. I don't think that answered your question, like what would you recommend for an 18-year-old? But I think it's just consume a lot of information on what you want to do and then just implement it. I think just by those two alone, you're going to get pretty far.
Yeah, because then also one of the things that I wanted to add, especially if you're, creating a business or have a business, no one will care more than you.
Yep.
And so, that's one of the reasons why it's also extremely important for you, the founder, the main person or people, to become the drivers, because no one's going to care more than you.
Yep.
No one's going to stay after, our examples. No one's going to stay after, let's say, usually we finish 3:30, 4. No one's going to stay after 4:35,
nope.
Waiting for, the USPS truck to come by. No one's going to come in here Saturday and Sundays. When it rains, no one's going to come here like, to make sure that there's no leakage, so like no one's really going to care more than you. I mean, there are going to be some people that do care, but then just put yourself in like in the other people's shoes. If you were to work at a company, like you would care and you probably want to be the best that you can, but really at the end of the day, it comes down to like what I think the ownership or the founder, that they are going to be the ones that care the most, because at the end they do benefit the most. And I think just by human nature, like, yeah, they're just gonna care more. And so if you have a business or you're going to start a business, no one's going to care more than you. And I was going to say like your parents, no one is. Yeah, they're going to care, but like because it's pretty much a representation of you in business. And so like no one's going to care more than you. And that's why it's extremely important for someone to be a driver, the one that's driving the organization, especially their organization. Because I know like we've had experiences where we have tried to have other people be drivers. People in our organization that maybe they weren't at that stage yet.
Or don't even want it.
I would say that, and don't even want. So it, like both people, like not both people. We had that experience because and just like what happened, and we've read a lot of books. We've made a lot of mistakes, but we read a lot of books in delegation. Delegation, freeing your time up and whatnot. And so that's so some of the things that we've implemented. Like I know, and not to name specific, but we've kind of delegated some of the stuff that was important for the growth of the business to other people. And I think it's not that they didn't want the business to grow. I think it was also the lack of experience, and also the lack of that, having that inner like just drive and wanting to do more and just be grow. And so, and especially because we're not at a huge stage. I think right now, aside from us two, there's 11 other people. And so, is it 11? Yeah. And so I forgot where I was going with that. Do you remember what I had said?
That not everyone wants
it. And so we have 11 people, and so we're still relatively small, and so but that being the case, I think the main function of the driver should still fall by us. And so we did try to delegate some of the stuff to other people, and like it just we still had to kind of be like the ones telling almost people what to do. The time frame, what was possible, because a lot of people, one example, there was something that we needed to do within there was something that we needed to do, and it was going to be on a consistent basis. The time frame originally that was given was that was products. There was 2 products that we needed to or not to product. There was products that we needed to do, like new products coming out. And so originally, you know, the base was gonna be like one every 2 weeks.
Yep.
But then we had to kind of come in. No, I think we could do it, you know, at least once a week. But then before we went to rent the car, you know, let's try 2 this week.
Yep.
And so we tried 2, and then at some point it was pretty easy. We got it down. Then we moved it up to 3. Then we moved it up to 4 a week.
Yep.
And so, but originally imagine 4 a week, as opposed to 1 every 2 weeks. And so.
Mm-hmm.
And that came from, you know, like maybe people that weren't ready yet, or people that kind of like had that mindset of like that limiting belief mindset. That
and that's one thing I was gonna mention. Your mindset matters.
Yeah, definitely. I think the mindset is extremely important with that. And so you know, just examples of you know, why you need to be a driver, why it's important, and you know, like really no one's gonna care more than you.
I think more than anything, if we want to simplify it down. If, you know, you just want to start your business, you know, going from step 1 to step 2, step 3 is, you know, find your why. Why are you starting a business? Once you find your why, you know, actually start doing your business, whatever it is you want to do, whether it's service-based, product-based, or any other type of business. And then actually just start consuming information. I think that's a third one. And then just try to remove yourself out of the business, see the big picture, and then just push forward with it. Because how you mentioned, no one is going to care more than you are.
And so that definitely, I agree with those. And so pretty much just do that over and over again. Like, you know, do the business, consume content, you know, just continually do that. And then as it grows, you know, you probably are going to need help. You're probably going to need, like, you know, there's going to be a lot of moving parts. And then I think at that point, by default, you're going to have to become a driver.
Yep.
Like, but by default.
One thing I wanted to add, I know when you said delegation, that doesn't mean don't delegate things to other people or, you know, don't let them take care of stuff. But, you know, like, that's something that you should be doing to, you know, to grow your business, is handing things that, you know, other people could do. But I think one of the things you meant, or, you know, to just emphasize, is that the thing you like shouldn't hand off, or, you know, you shouldn't delegate, is, you know, things that'll grow the business, that'll, you know, generate revenue.
No, definitely, I definitely agree with that. Like you said, delegate the stuff that maybe is not of as importance.
Yep.
Like, you know, whether
customer
service, fulfilling orders, you know, those kind of things. But when it comes to, okay, like, you know, like setting goals, setting the goals, you know, sales goals, and all this, you know, that you could say on the business stuff. Like, definitely, I think no one's gonna do it better than you.
Yep.
Especially because you kind of control where the business goes, or what the goals of the business are. Yep. So no one's gonna do it better than you in that sense. So definitely, yes, I agree.
I think everything was well said, you know, about how to become a driver, you know, what requirements you need to have to become a driver, you know, how do you get to that place, or, you know, why the importance of it. But is there any final thoughts when it comes to, you know, why it's important to be a driver?
Kind of like you said, no one's gonna care more than you, especially if it's your own thing. No one's gonna care more than you. So I think it's extremely important to become a driver. But like I mentioned, just, you know, start doing it. Start doing your business or whatever it is, and by default you will become a driver, because, you know, no one's gonna care more than you.
Yep.
And so I mean, it's really not much more to that. I think that's pretty much it on my end, and then on your end. And so with that, that was pretty much our thoughts on why it's super important to become a driver. And so if you have any questions, comments, please make sure to leave them down in the comments down below. And if we have nothing else, this has been another episode of Driven. My name is Juan.
My name is Alexis.
And we'll see you on the next one.